Hello and welcome to the first Work Wednesday, where I'm going to be interviewing different people working in STEM to find out about their roles, how they got involved in STEM and what advice they have for young people. My very first guest joins us from across the pond in America. He moved to America when he was 6 years old from Haiti. He has a degree in mathematics and a certificate in education, and he has been a STEAM educator for classes from kindergarten, so our primary one, all the way through to K-12, which is the end of our high school. He is now the founder of STEAM Ed Drones. So joining us from across the pond is Stevenson Demorcy. Stevenson, welcome to STEM with Mr. N.
Stuart, thank you so much for having me here with STEM with Mr. N. I love the platform and the advocacy that you're doing. So the STEM or STEAM platform is definitely a love of mine, and I'm excited to talk about it today.
Thank you for the kind words, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So let's get right into the interview. What is STEAM Ed Drones, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis in this role as the founder?
So STEAM Ed Drones is a premier platform that we are catering to the middle school students, the age of exploration. So what you get to do in our pipeline is you get to learn how to fly drones. You get to learn how to fly drones through coding to manual flight, through an interscope gyroscope function, which is just you moving your hands back and forth. You learn a ton about the drone industry, everything from agriculture to military drones to couriers and what the future flight is. So STEAM Ed Drone is a full encompassing understanding of the drone field as it is today and where it is going tomorrow.
It's very interesting the fact that you're looking at the range of ways that drones can be used. How do you use the drones with the students? Can you give us an example of activities that you might do with the drones with them?
Sure. So an example of an activity we do, all of our lessons are pretty much a full cross-curricular lesson, which means it encompasses all 5 areas of STEAM. So what that would look like is you would start out with your do now, which is you research the drone field and grab a graphic organizer and share a tidbit or two about what is happening in a drone field. From there, we would move on to understanding FAA laws and regulations. This is an example lesson plans that we're going through. You would go through and understand FAA laws and regulations, and clearly since the goal of STEAM Ed Drones is to bring real life to the classroom, we're not necessarily dealing with FAA since the drones are inside the building and not outside. But from there, we would go use small group collaboration to set up a competition course or a delivery map, or so we call it in our lesson. And then we would take the drones and fly it through the delivery map to see, hey, what happened well when we were functioning the drones, what needed improvement, were we successful in completing our delivery or our search. Clearly, Stuart, as you know, drones, once you learn how to fly it, the skills of what you're able to apply it for is endless, whether you're doing search and rescue, whether you're doing first responder, whether you're doing agriculture, stuff with the crops, whether you're doing military recon missions. Once you learn how to fly, your options are open in terms of how to utilize the drone.
Yeah, there's a really wide range, and it's great there that you were saying about bringing the real life experiences into the classroom. Although you're not flying them outside, you still need to understand the aviation laws around it, and then looking at delivering, because I know like the likes of Amazon, etc., are looking at using drones more and more to deliver packages. So that real life experience in the classroom must be incredibly valuable for the students that you're working with. So I understand that you moved to America from Haiti when you were 6 years old and didn't know much of English. Is that correct? Have I got that right?
Stuart, you're absolutely right. I knew how to count from 1 to 10, and I knew my name is Stevenson. Those were about the only amount of English that I knew at the point.
So do you mind sharing your experiences as an ESL student, and if that led you into STEM, how that led you into STEM?
Sure. So clearly it was very hard to do language art projects or etc. I just did not have the understanding. Think of it as I'm throwing a newborn baby who is fully capable of understanding, but not in the language that is being taught to them. So pretty much coding, right? So I had to go in and figure out the coding, and the way the STEAM platform helped me with that is mathematics is the same across, whether you're in Haiti, America, Japan, Canada, or across the river where you are, Stuart, like mathematics is the same. So that is always easy to pick up and to sort of articulate in a sense. And technology is universal. The way your iPhone works in America is the same way it works all around the world. So with a love for mathematics and a love for technology, I was just able to pretty much have some form of self-worth or some form of self-understanding in the classroom. And then from those two working with small group collaborations or whole class learning, I was able to pick up the rest of the skills. So that is your science, your engineering, the rest of the STEM or the STEAM platform.
And how did you take that interest forward from developing that through your lack of language and being what you understood? How did you then take that forward to then becoming a STEAM teacher?
Sure. So the STEAM platform is something I've clearly have been passionate about since it worked for me. I literally went from ESL or ELL to special ed, to general ed, to honors and advanced placement, to going through programs like US First Robotics, Biomedical Symposium, being captain of robotics teams. So I was able to see myself flourish as an individual who came from a background where, you know, you're not expected to succeed as much because you may have a language barrier or you may have an etc. But clearly the STEAM platform worked amazingly for me. So when I went to college, I studied mathematics. While I was studying mathematics, I did a bunch of engineering stuff, took a bunch of engineering courses to really just own my skills. And after graduating, I launched a ton of programs: 1080 Education, US First Robotics, New Jersey Drone Academy, just to name a few, NSBE, National Society of Engineers, National Society of Black Engineers. And I literally taught every grade from K to 12 just to understand how scaffolding really works, not just from a theoretical perspective, but from an applied perspective. So scaffolding was important, and clearly the pedagogy that you are sort of using with your different grade levels, whether it's think, pair, share, whether it's you're doing a scavenger hunt, whether you're doing a whole class discussion. So I kind of took all of those mixture of skills that I developed throughout the years and just created STEAM Ed Drones so that every learner can sort of find themselves through some form of scaffolding, whether it's scaffolding up or scaffolding down. You just get to find your niche in our program.
It's brilliant to hear how you didn't let that hold you back, that lack of language, and it's actually pushed you forward to now being able to help other people who may have been in the same situation as yourself, but also just anybody who's generally interested in the STEAM platform. If you get any advice for anybody out there, the young people who are interested in STEAM but aren't quite sure what sort of direction they could go in with it or what to do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have this life motto, or this Nindo way. If you watch Naruto, it's pretty much a life philosophy. It's like, it goes as says, I can't, but God will. So what that translates to in terms of regular English, there's a lot of things I can't do in this universe. There's a lot of, I didn't know how to spell my name at one point, but clearly I became capable of doing that in 2 languages. I didn't know how to code at one point. I became capable of doing that. I never thought like I was gonna get through my secondary mathematics courses, you know, abstract algebra, the calcs, the number theories, those things were all very difficult. But as you progress, as you study some more, as you own your craft, it becomes secondhand to some degree, and you become familiar with it. So whatever it is that you're tackling, especially in a STEAM platform, things, even when you're like Amazon, even when you're like NASA, clearly all of our flights aren't as successful as we would like it to be. Clearly Amazon is not at the prime of doing delivery yet. So we as people, we as society, we're constantly learning and constantly developing. So never let I can't be the hurdle that stops you, or that I don't think I can. Just assume you can't, okay? We have that basis. You can't do it. Now what? So just let God lead from there on and you'll be okay.
That's a terrific answer. I couldn't have put it any better myself. In one of the schools I worked in, there was actually a motto on one of the walls that said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. And I think that's exactly what you've said there as well. If you think you can do something, go for it. And if you think you can't do something, that lack of self-confidence is what's going to hold you back. Do you think that STEAM and coding is particularly attractive to ESL students?
Personally, I think yes, especially when you add the art element, because clearly we all know, whether we want to admit it or not just like ESL or secondary language learners, females as well, because clearly the sciences and the mathematics have shunned female out for so many years, but young ladies know they can dominate the arts, right? And when we talk about technology, foreigners, we're using the same technology everywhere. When you think about mathematics, it's sort of level of difficulty for everyone. So everyone can do that little struggle together and you're like, oh man, I hate that math class. We got to get through it. We got to get this study happening. So when you combine those three elements, it's an area that every student feels safe. And from there, we learn the sciences and the engineering and just really bring a nice, well-rounded meal. So yes, I think it's very applicable for ESL students and for young ladies as well.
It's great that you mentioned the young ladies, because there is quite the thought about underrepresentation of young ladies, as there are for other ethnic groups as well, being underrepresented within STEAM. Is that something you've found, that there's still quite a bit of underrepresentation, or is it starting to get a bit more evenly spread out?
So it is, we have done a lot of work inside the education system, clearly yourself, myself, the other educators, and you know, just a ton of great people who just are pushing the limits of what can be done and who can do it. Clearly, Katherine Johnson was a female mathematician who pretty much got us into orbit and into the moon. There was only one of her inside that room. And if you go and you watch the Mars Ingenuity, although they call it a helicopter, it is a drone. If you go watch the people inside that room, you see roughly 3 or 4 females inside that room, which is a big push compared to, we're not gonna let one female in. So now you have a window of opportunity for the greatest mindsets to come together and to propel us forward. I would love to, take a flight to Mars and galaxy travel. We kind of need all of our intelligence to do that. And whether with, discrimination is the big word, but you can't discriminate against someone when they hold the intelligence level to get me, my hovercraft so I could fly around to McDonald's and pick up my Happy Meal. Just don't do it. Like, I would love to fly and ride a drone one day. So we're definitely pushing the boundaries of, who can succeed.
And it's great that there's people out there like yourself that are pushing that forward and trying to promote STEM for all, that it's not an exclusive group or an elite group. It really is for everybody. And since you took that forward in what you do with STEAM Ed drones, can you tell us, what is your favourite thing about working with STEAM Ed drones and all the different pupils you get to work with?
So what I really love about STEAM Ed drones is, clearly I have a love for the STEAM platform. I had no idea what that actually meant, or the level that I would be operating at right now. So a day-to-day for me, everything from building a website to writing content, to researching and speaking with colleagues about what is happening, how to implement the program for the future generation, what to do when you're inside of a classroom or in front of adolescents, how to engage with them. The amount of skills that I've picked up, I'm at a point where it astonishes me, my level of capabilities and just what I've been blessed to learn, what I've been blessed to experience, some of the people that I've gotten to work with. Dr. Candace, for example, who is awesome with artificial intelligence, meteorology. Oh my God, there's a lot of awesome people who are doing great things to propel us forward. So yeah.
So your favourite thing then is all these skills that STEAM has actually then allowed you, and STEAM Ed drones has allowed you to develop it and learn further. So if I picked you up correctly, your favourite thing is this lifelong learning that STEAM goes with you. Did I get that correct?
Yes, Stuart, you're absolutely right. It is definitely a lifelong learning in which clearly you get to pick up skills from every set. So for example, one of the things I'm doing is helping a colleague of mine named Sam operate her, hey, what should my social media, what should that look like? That's not a skill that I had, 2 years ago. So you're learning a bunch of useful things that you can literally share with people who are sharing their own visions, who are propelling whatever they're doing forward. Yourself, for example, you're all the way across the seas, Stuart, and we get to collaborate and have this awesome conversation. So those are the little things that, you know, just brings the pleasure of, yeah.
It's one of the great things about the internet, and it's one of the things that I love about doing STEM as well. I don't come from a science background, but all the things it's allowed me to learn and then connect with people working in STEM like yourself and expand my own skills is part of it that I really enjoy as well. So I'm glad I'm not the only one out there that enjoys the lifelong learning journey of the STEM approach to things. So with that in mind, with all the skills that you've got and all the great people that you've got to work with so far, where do you hope to see yourself in 10 years on your STEAM journey?
I see myself dominating the market. It's not something I wanted to do when I first started. I wanted to play, like, you know, the safe role, which is being number 2 or number 3. But there is a real sense of urgency to revamp the education system for me. As you know, in the American school system and everywhere, we sort of took out trades inside of the education system. With a program like STEAM Ed Drones, you, in a sense, you bring trade back, because clearly the flight that you're doing, the maneuvers, everything that you're doing in the classroom directly translates to the workforce. There's no extra stuff that you have to go learn. It directly translates. But clearly also the STEAM platform is a way to get you to love the higher learning and what happens in college and beyond college. So everything from flight control manager to forest regeneration to assessing lands and natural disasters to UAS pilots to drone repair technician to programming, coding, to drone flight for first response, clearly, which is my favorite thing, to director of autonomous drones and AI, to mapping and tracking, to videography and image series, to aerial photography, to concept and story development, to data systems, to back-end developer. You know, it's just a lot of real world problem-based challenges that we get to do with the STEAM platform. And STEAM Ed Drones is here to do it.
So are you going for world domination then as number 1, or just number 1 in the States? Because there might be some competition from some young ones in the UK if you're going for the world domination.
All things work together for the good, right? Some healthy competition. So for example, who's going to be the first person into Mars? Who's going to be the first person on, you know, the moon? Yeah, America got there first. Quotation, yes, America got there first, but it's clearly a benefit to us all, and we're all benefiting from it, especially with what is to come to the future. So I'm not sure to what level the higher realm of the universe will get me to, but whatever it is that influences the next generation, our next growth, sustainability, that is definitely what I am here for.
Growing up, when you were getting involved in STEM, did you have any STEM heroes that have driven you towards this ultimate goal of going for this world domination with some healthy competition? Did you have any heroes that you aspired to be like?
I'm one of those weirdos in which all my heroes were local people that I knew. So my mathematics teacher, who was like, you know, Troy Smith, he was like a basketball prodigy slash STEAM prodigy and captain of my robotics team, who definitely just inspired the urge in me to be competitive, and it's okay to be competitive. At the same time that you're doing it, practice gracious professionalism, which, you know, I also got to do with, you know, every robotics or drone or race car competition that I've been involved with. And just literally the people around me, they always motivated me to reach my higher self, to continue just advocating for my own voice, and to see what the best version of me looks like. So I would say it was, now when you ask me, I have Katherine Johnson, etc. But beforehand, I didn't know these people. It was just the regular people I started with.
I don't think that's been weird at all. There's nothing wrong with getting heroes from round about you. It's the people you encounter all the time and help you in your journey. So I wouldn't call you a weirdo for being inspired by the people round about you. I think too many people maybe look too far away to people that they can't quite relate to. So finding somebody nearby is definitely relatable. And that's one of the great things about having you on this channel as well, because there will be people that will be able to relate to you completely differently from how they would relate to me. And what we've managed to do today is take what used to be local and put it on a sort of global scale using the internet. So you're now going into the homes of other people that might find you more relatable than me. So I don't think there's anything weird at all about being inspired by local people.
Stuart, thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. I hope we both get to make a very huge impact. And again, thank you for the conversations.
It's been a pleasure to have you on, and I hope that people watching have found this really interesting and inspirational. Stevenson's a man that moved to America with no English and has managed to carve out his own path with STEAM because it involves everybody and it encompasses and welcomes everybody. It's been a pleasure to have Stevenson join us this week. Stevenson, thank you very much for appearing in the first ever Work Wednesday STEM career interview.
Thank you very much, Stuart, and everyone visit us at steveandjones.com.